I caught sight of him pressing his lips against my wife's neck, and everything inside me just stopped. The moment unfolded like a nightmare in slow motion, my brain struggling to keep up with the truth unraveling right before my eyes. Elaine, my wife for a decade, leaned into him, her eyelids fluttering halfway shut, wearing a soft smile I hadn't seen aimed at me in years. The man beside her was tall and broad, arrogance practically pouring from every move he made. He kissed her like she belonged to him. I had come home earlier than planned, hoping to surprise her. A work project had been unexpectedly pushed back, and I thought maybe we could reconnect, spend the evening together, try to reignite what had been flickering out between us. Instead, I walked into this. My first impulse was to storm in, demand an explanation, throw every emotion in my chest at them. But I didn't. Something held me back. Maybe it was shock. Maybe it was the chill of something deeper coiling inside, something colder than heartbreak. I stepped back quietly, making sure they didn't hear me, and returned to my car. There in the driver's seat, I gripped the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles went pale. My heart wasn't beating with grief, it thudded with icy resolve. I wasn't going to explode in rage. No. I would take my time. I would build something deliberate, sharp, undeniable. Over the next several days, I slipped back into the role of the unsuspecting husband. I smiled at Elaine, kissed her good night, even complimented her on that new perfume she'd started wearing, no doubt picked to impress him. But inside, I was anything but composed. I began collecting proof. One evening while she was in the shower, I took her phone. I still remembered her passcode. I had memorized it years ago. It didn't take long to find what I needed. She'd saved his number under the name Emily, but their messages weren't subtle. Not even close. Every text read like a confession, plans for secret rendezvous, flirtatious exchanges, shared photos. All the lies spelled out in plain digital ink. But one message hit harder than the rest. Can't wait for our weekend escape. He'll never know. They were heading to a lakeside cabin that weekend. The same cabin Elaine and I had once visited together, years ago, when things were still good. The nerve of it stung. But it also gave me the perfect opening. If they were planning a romantic weekend, I'd make sure it was one they'd never forget. That Friday, I kissed her goodbye as she wheeled her suitcase to the car. Work's going to be crazy this weekend, she lied effortlessly, her tone smooth from practice. I stood there and watched her drive away. Then I picked up my own bag and headed out, in a very different direction than she thought. By the time they arrived at the cabin, I was already there, hidden in the woods surrounding the property. I had spent the day making preparations. The location's isolation worked in my favor. No one nearby. No one to hear what was coming. That evening, I watched them through the windows. They made dinner together. Laughed. Stole kisses between chopping vegetables. They were completely unaware that everything was about to shift. I waited. Patience was key. Once darkness settled in, I made my first move. The power cut out. Total blackout. I'd tampered with the fuse box earlier in the day. No chance they'd get it working again. Their voices rose in confusion and fear as they stumbled around for light. Then came the sounds. A rustle in the distance. A knock against the wall. Just enough to stir panic. Just enough to shake him. I watched his confidence crack. His voice betrayed him, tight with doubt. Elaine clung to him now. Her earlier comfort faded into fear. That's when I made my entrance. The front door flew open. I stepped inside, flashlight beam cutting through the dark and landing on my face. "Evening," I said, calm but with a quiet threat laced through my voice. "Hope I'm not intruding." Elaine turned white. "Elliot, what are you doing here?" "Oh, I just thought I'd visit this charming little cabin," I said, every word soaked in venom. Then I looked at her lover, who stood stiff, gripping a fireplace poker like it would help him. "And you must be Emily?" He didn't answer. Just stared at me like a cornered animal. "No need to panic," I said, stepping closer. "I'm not here to hurt anyone. At least, not physically." I placed a folder on the table between them. "Inside, you'll find printed copies of every text, photo, and email between you two. Turns out, with a little effort, you can dig up a lot. And don't worry, Elaine, I already forwarded a copy to your boss. I'm sure your coworkers will find your after-hours hobbies quite fascinating." Elaine gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. You wouldn't. Oh, but I did, I said with a razor-edged smile. And that's not all. I turned to her boyfriend. I looked into you too. Imagine my surprise when I came across your little secret. Embezzlement, huh? Should have been more careful with those company funds. The authorities will be very interested in your weekend getaway. His face drained of color. You have no proof, don't I? I replied. Check your inbox. I sent everything over before I got here. Consider it a farewell gift. Elaine began crying, begging me to stop, pleading for mercy. But I felt nothing. You made your decisions, I said, my voice flat and final. Now you live with the outcome. And with that, I walked out. Left them there, drenched in fear and shame. Outside, the crisp air hit my face like a cleansing breeze. I had destroyed them without raising a hand, and it felt far better than I ever imagined. In the weeks that followed, I filed for divorce. I made sure Elaine left with as little as possible. Her boyfriend? He vanished, fled the country rather than face the charges. As for me, I moved on. My heart lighter than it had been in years. They say revenge is best served cold. Mine was ice cold, precise, and deeply satisfying. I rebuilt my life with peace, and the certainty that sometimes, justice wears a smile.